All right, let's dive into something we all feel: anxiety when it comes to life's problems. Today, we're going to explore a new way to think, a mental model that helps you swap out that gut wrenching stress for a real sense of calm and control. So let's get right into it. So let's start with a question. Just think about it for a second. Why is it so stressful just trying to hold on to what you already have? You know, that constant low-level worry about keeping your job, your relationships, even just your sense of who you are. Why does simply maintaining things feel like such an uphill battle all the time? Well, it really boils down to two completely different mindsets. On one side, you've got what we'll call the possessive approach. This is all about not losing what's yours. And the result? Yeah, you guessed it, anxiety and worry. But on the other side, there's the agency approach. The focus here is completely different. It's just about getting things done. And that, well, that leads to solutions and action. So let's dig into this first one, the trap of holding on. Because for most of us, let's be real, this is our default setting. Thinker Christopher McClure points out that this is basically our standard operating procedure. A problem pops up, and our first instinct is totally defensive. We immediately start thinking, okay, how do I protect what's mine? How do I make sure I don't lose this? And this mindset, it creates this background hum of worry in pretty much everything we do. But what if there was another way? I mean, what if we could just build a new way of looking at reality that lets us sidestep this trap completely? Okay, Makar calls it depossessive reality confrontation. Yeah, I know, it's a bit of a mouthful, but the idea itself is incredibly simple. Stop trying to protect everything and start trying to solve things. The only question that really matters becomes, what is the next best action I can possibly take right now? That's it. And look, this isn't some kind of abstract philosophy. It's about being purely effective. When a problem shows up, your mind doesn't have to spiral into 1,000 worries. Instead, your only job is to look for a solution, period. So the big question is, how do we actually do this? How do we practice this art of letting go and really shifting into action mode? Well, it's actually a pretty clear 3-step process. First, you face the problem head-on with zero regrets about the past. Second, you find the next solution, not the solution, just the next one. And if that doesn't work, you just find the one after that. And finally, and this one is absolutely crucial, you have to detach from the outcome. Just do your best work and let the chips fall where they may. Now, to make any of this work, you have to approach problems clean. What does that mean? It means you have to drop all that mental and emotional weight you're usually carrying around. So the key here is understanding what that baggage actually is. And we all know what this baggage looks like, right? It's all the stuff that just clutters up our thinking. It's the memory of that time you failed. It's the regret about choices you made years ago. It's that victim mentality of, ugh, why is this happening to me? It's also that deep need we all have to feel certain and in control, which, let's face it, is usually just an illusion anyway. But when you can do this, when you can actually drop that baggage, wow, the emotional payoff is just immense. You literally shift from a state of constant nagging anxiety to one of empowered agency. This is the real transformation right here. That gnawing anxiety of possession, it gets replaced by a simple, matter-of-fact calm. Worry turns into a genuine curiosity about what might work. And all that regret, it gets replaced by the courage to just try again. So really, it's a fundamental shift in your entire posture. You stop playing defense, just trying to protect your own little patch of turf, and you start playing offense, actively moving forward and creating solutions. But this whole practice, it actually goes even deeper than that. It asks us to confront the very thing we're so desperately trying to protect in the first place. And that leads to an ultimate trade-off. See, when we talk about possessions, we are not just talking about your house or your car, not at all. We are also possessing our emotional attachments, our most deeply held beliefs, and even our spiritual certainties. These are all things that we cling to for dear life. So what's the part of us that does all this clinging? Well, it's the ego. If the ego had a job description, its number one duty would be to build and maintain this entire structure of possessions: the physical stuff, the mental stuff, and the emotional stuff. And this brings us to the absolute core of it. When you let go of the need to possess and just focus on the next action, you are operating beyond the limits of your own ego. What you're really doing is trading a small, defended self for a much larger, more capable one. So we'll leave you with this to think about. Looking at your own life right now, what's the one thing? Maybe it's a belief, a regret, or that need for certainty, What's the one thing you're ready to stop possessing today?